Hello awesome people of YouTube, welcome back to game number 2 between Poland and France. This is going to be LiquidMarine representing Poland. He's also representing Team Liquid. And his opponent is going to be MarineLord representing Millennium and France. So this is the second of 7 games in total which decide whether these dudes move on to the next round or not. It's still from the previous tournament, which is the Nation Wars number 3. And I hope you've seen the first game, which was quite quick actually. So if you haven't seen it, of course, the links will probably be in the description. You're of course welcome to see the previous game before the spoilers are coming. And of course, all the future games may already be uploaded, which means that if the links are there, they might still be private if you're watching this on release date. And it does of course look like we have an early gas here, quite standard for Terran. And looks like MaNa throwing down his gateway inside his base, just like he should be, instead of doing any sort of cheese on his first game here. Nexus is also on the way, goes ahead and scouts, unfortunately to the wrong direction, so looks like in this case MarineLord is going to be scouting out ahead first. Yeah, looks like we have a cybernetics core coming out right after the gateway, so he does opt to go for a depth pretty much straight on, I would say. But for MarineLord, notice the difference in build. He's not actually building a Reaper at the start. He's decided to go for the reactor. Now the question is gonna be: is he gonna go for double Reaper afterwards, or if he's gonna just pump out Marines at the very beginning? Could very well be the case. Looks like the probe is finally heading on away to the correct path here. Gonna be spotting that there's an expansion straight off in the start. And looks like there's no adepts actually coming out for MaNa, which is quite strange. I do think that adepts are pretty good against Terran. I mean, honestly, they really are good. They two-shot the SCVs, which is quite normal. They two-shot Marines. They three-shot Reapers. And the Pilot Council also on the way. So question is going to be, are we going to see Blink Stalkers? And so early as well, there's no gateways yet. So obviously MaNa not expecting to do that much aggression here. Looks to be quite a passive game at the beginning. Now just to note, it does look like we have a tech lab being built from the factory, which of course suggests that he's going to be building siege tanks out of it. Might later on swap out the barracks just to get out a quick stim pack or combat shields. But of course siege tanks are quite important at the beginning, and well, pretty much throughout the whole game actually. Siege tanks are pretty damn awesome all the time. Looks like we have a robotics facility coming out here, so one gateway into robotics. So possibly going to have Blink Stalker Immortals. It's going to be quite interesting actually to see how that develops. It's not something you see that often with Protoss these days. They tend to go for early adepts, and particularly against Terran, just have a bunch of adepts running into your base before you get those siege tanks up. Now, siege tanks are not particularly good against adepts, simply because adepts are actually light units, and they have, I believe, 150 total health, which includes health and shields. Whereas siege tank versus light units only do 35 damage, which means, if I have to add that up very quickly, that's about 5 shots to kill an adept, which you might think is not that much, but that is a lot. So of course adepts, as usual, or Protoss units as usual, very very difficult to kill, very tough. Looks like he's actually pumping out observers for now, and it's kind of strange to see 2 observers in a row. I want to have a quick look at the income tab as well. It does appear that MaNa is actually a little bit ahead, despite the fact that there is 2 bases for MarineLord, and it's actually due to the fact that he's a little bit undersaturated with this. Now it does appear that he's building 2 barracks here, so that's quite standard. Going to be pumping out a few Marines a little bit later on. Of course, the command center is also up, so he's really thinking of macroing up right now. Question is going to be, is MaNa going to punish this, or is he going to just macro up himself? Does look like he is potentially looking to do a little bit of aggression now. Looking at supply count, does look like MarineLord is far ahead in supply. I mean, he's considering it's so early in the game, that 8 supply is quite a significant number. Now he is managing to snipe off a few free Marines here. Not really that much that these units can be able to do, except for, of course, these siege tanks. Going to be a little bit dangerous. Now there is a Cyclone on the field as well. The Cyclone, of course, is just there in case there will be an Oracle showing up. And of course the Oracle, very, very dangerous unit overall. If you manage to sneak out 2 Oracles before there's any sort of anti-air, you could potentially take out 10 to 15 workers before the Terran can do anything about it. Maybe even more sometimes. There you go. Finally decides to finish off these rocks. So this is going to defend him for a little bit. Not that long though. It really looked like that Marine actually got splattered by the rocks, but I think it just died from stalker damage. Let's have a quick look. Oh, you can't actually see it. Very well placed observer here. Gonna be able to spot straight in here. See what's going on. See that there's 2 depots coming down here, and look at this. Walking around the mineral line here, but at the same time taking some puck shots from those siege tanks. Not gonna want to stay too close to them, because of course they will wear them down, and then the Marines could just stem back and run straight after them, finish them off very quickly, and do absolute tons of damage. Looks like we do have 1-1 for Bio going down for the Terran, which of course is quite standard. A little bit late though, I would say, in terms of upgrades. 7 minutes in, 7.5 minutes I suppose by the time those are actually done. His level 1 Protoss weapons and armor actually coming down, so decides to go for the early armor upgrade. The funny thing is, in Legacy of the Void, Protoss seems to really rarely go for armor or shields. If you see shields going down, you're probably looking at a 30 to 35 minute match, because it just seems to be like a last resort kind of thing. So there's going to be a bit of a power spike for MarineLord here. Now that 3 of his upgrades are complete here, so his Marines are just going to essentially become like 20% more powerful. Very good time for him. And it looks like MaNa is actually throwing down a pylon here. Now I wonder, is he going to try to do some shenanigans with this? Does look like there's no missile turrets anywhere except for this natural base here. So is he going to throw some sort of proxy Stargate or something like that? Honestly, I don't see it happening this late into the game, but you never know. Anything can happen. Does look like MaNa is actually getting himself a few disruptors. Now disruptors will be very useful here, especially against this huge marine ball. So if you think about it logically, this one marine ball can actually get one-shotted by a disruptor. One single shot can pretty much wipe out half of MarineLord's army. And of course that'll be the target that MaNa will try to, of course, achieve. Second disruptor is on the way. There's level 2 Protoss weapons and armor also on the way, so he's definitely thinking of teching right now. And it does look like we have a fusion core coming out. So the question is going to be, is it going to be battle cruisers or is it going to be increased Liberator range? I somehow would not be surprised to see battle cruisers at the moment, simply because he doesn't actually have any Liberators on the map, based on what I can see anyways. No, he is actually getting 2 Liberators out, so could potentially see... There we go. So this upgrade, it's not something we actually see very often. I can't actually select it or anything, but basically all it does is increases the range of the Liberator attack, so they can set up their defender circle a little bit further away, which gives them a nice bit of an advantage. They can set it up from like here instead of having to come right over the air, which is quite nice, I have to say. But at the same time, is it worth the extra building and upgrade to get it? Potentially, if you can make those Liberators really well, or position those Liberators really well, or of course on the other hand you could also use them for attacking, then it could pay off. So a bit of a tense moment here. There's more and more disruptors coming out. At the moment I'm seeing 3, and I think there's a 4th one being produced also. Second robotics facility, and actually a dark shrine coming out on the way as well. So going to potentially try to snipe out some SCVs inside of MaNa's base, or MarineLord's base of course. And actually I think this pylon is actually here now just to basically scout out for a 4th base. Thought originally that he was going to do some sort of proxy, but it doesn't look like that's the case. This probe just standing there, a little bit peculiar, maybe just trying to spot out any hidden bases. It looks like the engage going on. No defender circles have gone down, getting them taken out pretty much all the time. But there we go, now a few of those circles going down with the upgrade as well. A massive range on it. Does manage to do quite a lot of damage here. MaNa losing a lot of units. MarineLord supply is favoring quite heavily here. But of course, that could also be the fact that he has a few more workers as well. So it does look like there's level 3 armor and damage going down for MaNa. So at the moment I think that the Terran player is going to be very hard to break here. He has Liberators, he has increased range on Liberators, he's got siege tanks. Let's have a look at the upgrades as well. Looks like he has ship weapons 1, 2 bio, and of course the upgrade here. So quite standard so far. Does look like 3 damage for bio is coming out also. I think at the moment MaNa just needs to hold back a little bit, maybe tech up a bit more, and then engage onto this. So it looks like the Liberator circles are gone down here, basically just preventing MaNa from getting any closer. And look at the range of this. This Liberator, by the way, is able to set down this circle, so as you can see the range is quite ridiculous. And it does appear there is actually SCVs being killed here, so there was actually a Zealot drop, but I will go back and focus on the main engage here. Looks like MaNa just standing back. This Nexus might actually get sniped off, and of course I do think that he will be able to. There's a lot of Liberator circles and a few siege tanks in position here. Not actually quite sure why he's backing off here. He's not going to make it to the base at this point. This command center is probably dead. And there we go, the Nexus has been sniped. He is starting to pick up his units and sending them back. Gonna be doing a full-on engage here. There's a planetary fortress in position. Gonna start defending it. Is he gonna pull off a few SCVs to repair it? No, it does actually get taken out a little bit too fast, so it does not manage to defend that off. The Liberator circles are doing a little bit of damage here as well, but the units are quickly moving into his base. It does look like he has managed to clean all of this up, but the damage inside of his main base is still going down. There is one barracks almost getting dropped here. Of course, the command center has also been taken out. So at the moment, it does look like MarineLord's income is probably going to be dwindling a little bit. As you can see, 560 minerals per minute, simply because he's actually mined out in the main base, and of course this natural is very quickly running out of minerals as well. This base is doing quite well, but at the same time he did need to get a command center up here again. So only now going to be bringing up his economy again. Now MaNa starting to bring up his forces again. There is a few Archons thrown into the mix this time. And also, as you can see, there is a sentry on the field. Level 3 weapons for bio is now coming up as well. So once that comes down, it's going to give a nice spike in terms of damage for MarineLord. Now look at all these Liberator circles. Going to quickly select these units. I can't even count them. Oh, there we go. There's 6 in total. Quite nice here. This is just ridiculously hard to break for MaNa right now. He's going to be looking at a way to possibly break this, but he really needs to come in from behind in order to do any damage here. Now a huge Liberator circles going down, or Disruptor circles, doing a little bit of damage, knocking out a few units, and also cleaning up one tank. Looks like the Blinkstalkers coming in here, starting to clean up these Liberators, doing some very nice damage. They might want to get out of the way also before that sets up. And it looks like MarineLord has started to come out on top here again. Now the actual worker supply is, or worker count is favoring MaNa because of that huge engage earlier on. So he absolutely has no army supply right now, 19 to 63. So if MarineLord continues on with this push, he will be able to take out MaNa very, very quickly. A Nexus getting taken out here as well. This one is almost mined out, and I think that right now MarineLord is in quite a dominating position. All of these probes getting taken out, getting transferred. Have to say, rest in pieces. And looks like, I think this is going to be it. So GG, well played, thrown out here from MaNa, and MarineLord is going to take game number 2. This is currently bringing up France to 2-0, so we're going to move on to game number 3 very shortly. Okay, so that was it for game number 2. Very nice play here by MarineLord, deciding to use a lot of Liberators, and I think that upgrade did eventually end up paying off. I usually don't think it's worth it unless you really make use of it, but here, really well played. So 2-0, we're going to be moving on to game number 3, and we'll see how that one turns out. See you guys in game number 3.